This is Good News on HuffPost Live, sponsored by State Farm, helping you get to a better state.
You're watching HuffPost Live. I'm Caitlyn Becker, and this conversation is sponsored by State Farm. Anyone going through the stress of planning for a wedding is ready to chuck it all away and elope at some point. I am at that point right about now in my wedding planning. But what about taking all that time, effort, and money in a different direction? The couple joining me did just that, taking the money set aside for their reception and turning it into a charity trip that will take them through all 50 states. Joining me now is Mark and Ismini Svensson. Welcome.
Hi.
So I am midway through the wedding planning, ready to forget it all and elope. I just don't think we can get our deposits back at this point. But you didn't get this far, and you decided to sort of change everything. Talk to me about how this came about.
Yeah, actually, we were initially planning a traditional wedding, to be honest with you, a wedding reception and a honeymoon. But one day, we looked at each other while we were going through the details, and we asked each other what makes us really happy in life. And then we both realized that what makes us the happiest is helping the people in need and the less fortunate. And also, it's interesting that we realized my father wouldn't be there with us celebrating. So this journey actually is a tribute to my father's memory, who passed away at a charity event at the end of the event. And then Mark and I came up with the idea, instead of having the big wedding reception and honeymoon, to travel instead to all 50 states in the US and perform one act of kindness in every state.
It's important to mention with her father. I mean, he was a brilliant mind. Everyone in his community was such a tragic loss, because he was really a leader, a philanthropic leader as well. And you know, to have an event that he organized that was really huge, and at the end of the event in front of everyone, just suddenly pass away from a heart attack was, I mean, it left really everyone kind of speechless. So that had a really traumatic effect on us when we were really going through the details like you are this period where, you know, you realize it takes a lot of planning, and we said, you know, we're doing all this planning, and you know, we're not going to have this one person with us. So it was just a nice way to really honor his memory.
How far along in the planning process were you?
In the beginning stages, and it's good that we actually came up with this idea early on.
Yeah, relatively early.
I cannot imagine myself planning the entire wedding and then changing the plan, but yeah, from the very beginning we realized that we had to do something different.
So you switched tacks and started planning this amazing charity trip. How did that planning go about? I mean, how did you decide where to go and what to do when you got there?
So every act of kindness is a result of an online discussion with citizens through the social media. So we use a lot Facebook and Twitter. And from the very beginning, we actually, you know, posted about it. We said, okay, you know, instead of having the big wedding, we decided to travel to all 50 states in the US and help people. And we realized that a lot of our friends on Facebook and followers were very much inspired by that. So they start sending us suggestions through the social media. And it kind of like became like a trend. Like, so we actually start asking people to send us suggestions. And we received messages from all across the country, and now actually from all over the world, with people telling us about act of kindness to perform when we visit their communities.
And it's really, I mean, it's something we didn't anticipate when we first started. You know, say, okay, this is what we decide to do. You know, we tell the family members, okay, you know, they don't really get it at first. It's a shock to them because they're expecting, you know, a wedding, the traditional wedding.
And you were Greek?
Yeah, I'm originally from Athens, Greece.
Some of my best friends are Greek, and there is nothing quite like the Greek wedding. So they like to do it big. So I imagine your family was like, what?
Very big.
Yeah, so I mean, so you know, we tell people we're going to do this. So the family, you know, they're speechless at first, and we posted about it online the first couple of states, and what we really found was, I mean, it kept growing and growing, and now today we receive messages from people, and it's actually, I mean, a lot of the times it takes an emotional toll as well. You have people reach out saying, you know, my child has this condition, or you know, I'm unemployed and I'm disabled. I'm going through all this hardship. So, I mean, it takes an emotional toll on us as well, some of the people we've come in touch with, and also the messages we receive online.
Does it become hard for you to choose which sort of act of kindness you want to do in a certain place? Because I imagine you get all of these messages and you want to be able to reach out and help everyone.
Yeah, we do actually. But to be honest with you, most of the times in specific areas, the recommendations we receive and all the messages point us to almost the same direction. For example, in California, because they have issues, like they have a lot of homeless people there, many messages, you know, many people were leading us and telling us, help please the homeless. We have so many homeless in the area. Different states, different issues, but at the same, you see a lot of similarities, you know, the people recognize the issue in their area, and then, you know, they try to connect with us, and after that, I mean, we try our best to visit them and, you know, help as much as we can.
Let's talk about some of the states. What brought you guys to North Carolina?
Well, you know, that's really a unique state that we visited. You know, we went from South Carolina to North Carolina, and we had really North Carolina is really an exception to all the states we visited. I mean, in general, the suggestion was visiting people suffering from various illnesses, but we really had a total different trajectory of where we were going to go. And there was an individual we came across with in South Carolina who said, you know, I know you guys are going to plan on doing this, but it'd be really nice if you went to this city. You know, it's the drive up is particularly scenic. So we said, okay, you know, because we're here, we're going to take this suggestion, and, you know, we'll adapt afterwards. And what happened after was really, I mean, I don't want to say like a twist of fate, what led us to Asheville, North Carolina, and specifically to one of the women who we met. But you want to?
Yeah, actually, we ended up meeting Leanne Hand. She was battling stage 4 lung cancer. And she was far away from her family, and it was a very sweet lady. She was actually telling us that she was praying for a miracle the day we visited her. And she was in pain, and I still remember her like holding my hand and, you know, looking. I don't know, but it was the first time in my life I felt that I was doing the right thing, because she said, you are the answer to my prayers. And, you know, with this look of a person who's very serious and, you know, needs your love and needs your time. And I looked at Mark and I was like, oh my God, Mark, I mean, this woman is incredible. I'm never going to forget this moment. So we were very fortunate. She was very kind. She was smiling all the time. You have pictures of her. During the visit, I mean, we were actually talking to her about fun things, you know, like we were telling her that she's beautiful, that we love her hair, that she doesn't look sick at all, and everything is wonderful. Unfortunately, a few months after our visit, she passed away. It was difficult for us, to be honest with you, because we felt this, you know, instant connection. Sometimes you meet people and you feel from the very beginning that there's something special going on there. But her family actually reached out to us, and her son Bobby sent us messages, and he was informing us, you know, on her condition and everything. And then, of course, when she passed away. But we are still in touch with the family, and he actually told us that he's expecting a baby this April. So we try to stay in touch with the people, you know. We become friends, and that's the most important part. You know, for us, this is the most important, that we become friends with all these people, and we try to stay in touch for a long time after our visit.
I want to bring in Nancy McGuire-Heath, who's the director of the Rhode Island School for the Deaf. Nancy, Mark, and Ismini visited earlier this year. How did the students react when they got there?
Hello, Mark and Ismini. How are you?
Hi,
Very well.
Nancy.
Hi, Nancy.
Hi. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
To answer your question, when we first got the request for Mark and Ismini to come by, I was a little unsure, because there are so many people who want to look at our students as if they should be pitied. And Mark and Ismini impressed me right away that they were coming to get to know our students. They were coming because they wanted to have a relationship. And so they did come, and they had a wonderful visit with our students. And our students, I think, were so touched by their genuine affection for them. It was a friendship right from the start. It was respectful. And they were just interested in getting to know our students, who use American Sign Language as well as English, who some of them live in as members of deaf culture, which is a subculture of our society. And Mark and Ismini were just open and warm and genuine with them. It was great.
Now, Nancy, I know a lot of people don't get involved with charity work because they think they don't have the type of time to commit to, a year or, at once a week. But what can just one visit? I mean, you guys have committed to a large chunk of time, but just small chunks of time for each act that you're doing. What can just one visit from a volunteer do for people?
Well, it depends on how it's set up. What I respected about Mark and Ismini is they talked to the children about creating a chain of kindness. They came and said, we're doing this because we want to care for you and get to know you. What can you do now to continue this chain of kindness? And I loved that approach. It gave us a platform to talk to children about acts of kindness and civility and what makes a comfortable community, people respecting each other and reaching out to help each other. We were able to use this as an example as well as the beginning of their assignment. What would they do to go out and continue this chain of kindness?
And what was this experience like for you guys?
Oh.
I mean, the children and the faculty, everyone was so wonderful and welcoming for us, and it was really an opportunity for us to spend time with the kids and learn from them, like Nancy, as Nancy mentioned, and also bring them presents and make them feel like it was a Friday. I remember that, so make them feel at the end of a week, go home with some gifts, but also a way to think how are they going to continue the kindness going forward. And one of the things we told the kids, it can really be going home and saying thank you to their parents for taking care of them, or saying thank you to a teacher. These are tangible acts of kindness for young people their age.
You're talking about continuing this chain of kindness that Nancy mentioned that you guys talked about with the kids. There's been a lot of media attention around you guys and around what you're doing. Do you think, on one hand, do you think that the media attention could detract from all the good work you're doing? But on the other, do you really think that it's maybe opening people's eyes to continue that chain of kindness themselves?
Yeah, definitely. Actually, in the very beginning, we're not expecting that, of course. We are traveling the last 2 years. And after 2 years, somehow journalists are following the journey, and then, we have all this media attention. But we think this is something positive. And we want to show people that I actually think that many people have the preconception that you need to dedicate a lot of time and money in order to make a real difference. But what we want to show is that every act of kindness can make a difference, especially if it motivates others to do the same. So after, this media attention, we realized that a lot of people out there started their own nonprofits, start sending us their own acts of kindness. They were aware of what we are doing, and this inspired them to do, something similar. So it's not about us at the end. To be honest with you, it's more about everyone doing something in their community, in their family, with their friends. We hope to motivate others to become active in their communities and perform social good. And it's definitely not about us anymore. It's more about the chain reaction of kindness. And
to add on that, when we receive messages from people who really live in remote areas in other continents. We've received messages from people who live in villages in Pakistan who somehow, I don't even know how, have seen this message online or through the social media. And so when we see how far this message has spread across the country and internationally, that's really answers the question to us, is this having a positive effect? And two, is it motivating people to now take that next step forward and give back themselves?
Yeah, and we asked our viewers about their own acts of kindness, and we heard from a few of them. Specifically, the first one was a rhyme doctor wrote in and said, noticing I was the first to the window and the only one dressed warmly. I paid all fares behind me, so no one else stood in the cold. And one from Chuck Mangione says, haven't had time lately. I used to help at the local animal shelter. Now a neighbor's husband passed away, and she has nobody, so my community service is to help her fix her home up. It's not much, but it is what I can do currently. It doesn't have to be much, right? That's what this is all about. It doesn't have to be a huge commitment. It doesn't have to be a huge amount of money. It's about the little things.
Well, the other thing, the second individual, I forgot his name.
Chuck.
Yeah, Chuck. For him, he may think that it's not much, but for the person he's helping, it can mean the world to them, and that's the important thing. For a teacher, to hear a student say thank you to them, that can mean the world for them. You know, they can be going through difficulty in their own lives and, you know, at a crossroads, and just to hear a positive compliment, something that we all may deem as small act of kindness, the effect it could have is really insurmountable. That we you know, it could have, it can be, make someone's day.
And are there plans to expand this out from the U.S.?
Actually, because we received a lot of support, I mean, of course, this is a self-funded initiative because it's our wedding and our honeymoon, but we received a lot of support along this journey, and we established StayUNITED, which is a non-profit organization, and our goal through StayUNITED is to create a brighter future for children and youth. Now we have 5 more programs, all for children. We are parents. We have a baby girl. She is now 17 months old, and we realized, you know, during this journey that we love working with children, and we hope to continue spreading kindness and changing lives after we finish with this journey through the charitable work of StayUNITED. And of course, we hope to continue inspiring people, and then they can do their own thing and, you know, start their own nonprofits or walk down the street, give a meal to a homeless, hug their mother, whatever that is. It doesn't need to be something big. I mean, sometimes it's bigger, like if you look someone in the eyes and you tell them, I love you, sometimes this is also something that's big enough, we think.
Well, I want to thank you guys so much for joining us. And Nancy, thank you so much for joining us live via webcam.
Oh, our pleasure. You know, kindness transcends every language, and I thought that Mark and Ismini really demonstrated that.
Well, for more information on StayUNITED and for Mark and Ismini's incredible journey, there is information in our resource file below, so check that out and stick around. There's a lot more coming up on HuffPost Live.